Hey, 11th grade advisory students. It's Mr. Shallert, your reading/testing nerd, and it's a beautiful day outside, and you're going to hear wind and birds and maybe some airplanes, but so be it. I wanted to talk us through some reminders about the SBAC, which starts in 3 weeks. That's right, Tuesday and Thursday, May 17th and 19th, we'll be doing the English ELA. And then Tuesday and Thursday, May 24th and 26th, the math portion of the test. And science will be a much shorter experience on Friday, May 27th. So last week, we learned some fun facts and test-taking tips that you should be learning in your ELA and social studies classes, though I know those classes are really busy right now. So I wanted to review a little of the types of questions you'll find on the test and talk about our approach. Just remember that you are going to be testing up in the gym like you did for the SAT. We're going to have snacks for you, raffles for showing up every day for Roosevelt swag, and all sorts of good stuff. So remember, it's really important when you start the test to pay attention to what type of question you're answering. Because some questions, they're going to make you happy. You're going to be like, oh, I sort of like this type of question, as much as one can like a test question. Some, not so much. We will provide tissue should you need to blot the emo tears from your eyes. But here's the thing. Each question is like your opponent. And it's essential that you recognize who they are so you know how to do battle with them. Remember, because the test is really out to get you, but you are more genius than the test. And you're going to be ready to do battle with it. So let's talk a little bit about that. So remember, sometimes you're going to listen to a recording. Sometimes you might look at a chart. Sometimes you're going to have to read. Whatever the stimulus they give you, that's whatever the text is. Think of it as reading, and your job is to make sense of it, right? Which is why we use before, during, and after for every SBAC question. We quickly check in on what type of question it is and then scan it to make sense of it, see what we need to do and what we don't need to do. And then during the reading, whether that's listening or reading or looking at something, we want to make sure we know the purpose. And then, and only then, do we answer the question. And this is really important. I shared this last week with you, but the SBAC is not timed. That doesn't mean you're going to want to, keep taking the test endlessly. So you're going to want to pace yourself so you don't crash and burn, which is why we BDA every question. Remember, you don't want to work hard. You want to work smart. So we're going to jump over to some different examples of questions. Let's start with this one. Remember, when I come to this type where it says read the text, I always want to scroll through this side first. And whoa, there's a lot of reading there. It's not that many. I think it's like 11 paragraphs. I don't need to read all of it, remember? And remember too, I've got my tools. If I want a tutorial on how to answer the question, I can click on that. If I need a notepad where I can take answers, where I can write notes about evidence I might find, if I need to write or something, I've got that. And if I want to get rid of a wrong answer, I can use the strike through portion. Okay, remember, this is where I want to focus though on all my questions. What are they actually asking you to do? So I do not read this right off the bat. I go over here first. Okay, what's the most likely the author's intent? Oh, so I just have to read this little part, which is actually the first paragraph, and choose one of these answers. Remember, there might be a Patrick answer I can get rid of because it's not a smart answer. I can use process of elimination. And then down here, I need to find some evidence that best supports my answer up here, right? So that's one type of question, which is very reading driven. But again, I don't have to read as much as they want you to think we do. So don't be fooled. Another type of question is this one where I'm actually going to listen. Now, all the listening questions, remember, are like a minute, 30 seconds. So one thing I can do there, oh, reminder too, that I can always blow the question up so I don't see anything else. The reading, the text rather, the stimulus, that's what this is called. But remember, as I'm listening, maybe I want to use my notepad, or you're also going to get scratch paper. So maybe you just want to use some scratch paper and make notes. But I don't want to listen before I look at my questions. Part A, part B. Same type of thing, right? A conclusion based on what you heard, and then what's the evidence you heard that supports it. So we notice some trends here, right? Okay, now I encounter my next opponent. Oh, same type of question, another listening one. And maybe you really like listening ones because you don't have to read and you're a good listener. So right on, you are going to get headphones the day of the test, so don't stress about that. And then remember this one, I always got to be questioned before I listen. Be careful, select 3 options. So I can choose 3 different answers here, and I guarantee there's some Patrick answers there, okay? So this type of question might be really nice after one of those longer reading questions, right? So if you like this question, great. Now, here's a question where you actually have to write a little bit. Again, you've got a reading. This one is about 7 paragraphs. You'll notice the vocabulary in this one is a little old school, sort of elevated. It almost sounds sort of British. It's your birthday, Nigel. So you want to be careful on this one because you don't want to get stuck reading too much, but you're going to need to scroll through it. Here's a trick though. When you answer, right, we always want to make sure that we've got a good idea of how much we should write, and we're going to make an inference. So when I do that, and I'm going to show you this in your slides this week on Tuesday and Thursday, you're going to want to keep this rubric in mind, right? You always want to make sure that you use specific examples to get a 2. The most you can get on a short constructed response, a little box like this, is a 2. And that's obviously what you want to get. But you have to be specific and explain yourself. You can even write something and still get a 0. So don't let that happen to you. I would urge you to write at least 4 to 5 sentences for this type of question, but we are going to practice this question this week. So you'll learn more when we do that. The other thing, okay, now this type of question, right? And normally, here's the good news. You're going to have 1 reading, but it's usually going to have like 2, 3, maybe 4 questions connected to it. So again, you're not going to start by reading all 11 paragraphs. But on this one, you just have to have 2 sentences that best support an inference. And remember, this is the type where you hover over it and it'll light up the sentence. And then you need to choose the 2 sentences that help you answer the question they're asking here. So maybe you like this type because you only have to choose a couple sentences and it's pretty clear, right? Another type of question that you've already looked at, same reading, right? So you're going to get comfortable with these readings. This one, what's the author's intent or their purpose? Again, you choose an answer just from this short reading, and then you choose the evidence that best supports it, right? So you're going to get used to these. You might find you like them, you might find you don't. That's okay. Next one. Sometimes you're going to have a nice little break of a question, which only gives you 4 sentences to look at. And it's going to say which one doesn't do something well, which one is incorrect. So 3 of these are correct, 1 is wrong. As we talked about last week in our lesson, you want to be sure that you look at how are they similar and how are they different. And the one that's most different is probably the wrong one, right? It's sort of that process of elimination. Poe, like Edgar Allan, like the Raven, like Bart Simpson. Okay. This one, again, you only have 2 short paragraphs to read, and then you're going to find words, 2 underlined words, so furnish and make, and you're going to choose 2 best words from this list and see it lights up like that. So if I chose that, I'd know. Not saying that's the right answer, but I'm going to replace the underlined word. So whenever it says underline, look for the words that are underlined, obviously, and then substitute what you think is the best word. Now, the tip I gave last week for those of you who had this question, sorry, there's a car passing by, was to cover this word up and see what word you think should go here. Don't even look at your answers yet. And then once you decide what word should go here, see if there's a word like it. See if you can find a word like the answer you think would be best. Okay, we're almost done here. Here's another one. This is when they're doing research and there's a credible, truthful source. And so then you're going to have to compare this paragraph and this paragraph and see what's not so reliable in this one. And guess what? You're going to click on one sentence. So again, the sentences are going to light up like that, and you're going to choose the sentence that is different than this one. Okay? So we're going to go back to our little slide deck now. I know that's a lot of information, but in either English or history class, you've been getting glimpses of these questions and getting to practice, and you've been taking quizzes too. So I want to thank you for your effort on those quizzes. We're getting a lot of good data, and you're doing very well. So let's go back to our slideshow. Just a reminder of why we care about all this, because you're going to find out if you're ready for college level classes. Get a 3 or a 4, and you know you're good for college math or English, depending. If you're not yet ready, that means you know you've got some work to do senior year. And if you're not ready, you still have time senior year to work on the stuff that's going to make you more prepared for college. Okay. Again, this is who you are. 32 of you are guaranteed admission into a University of California, a UC. By the way, we had 8 seniors this year get into UC Berkeley, which is the hardest thing to do. Amazing. Half of you have a GPA of 2.7 plus, which means you're automatically in at Cal State LA. More than half of you have a GPA of 2.5, making you eligible for a 4-year university, private school, stuff like that. And almost half of you, the rest of you, are currently eligible for community college. And by the way, community college is free in the state of California now. But remember, this test can help your GPA. Now there's a helicopter or a plane above me, sorry. If you get a 3 or a 4, you're going to get a grade bump in English for the ELA portion. And then you're going to get a grade bump in math if you get a 3 or a 4 in math. So you got to see your teachers for details. I think we're going to skip over this, but you've been doing a lot of stuff to prepare for the ELA portion of the test. So remember, and the math part, I'm not even covering math in these presentations because math you've been working on all year secretly. And remember, you've had math all 4 quarters. So that's really cool. So again, you want to find out how college ready you are. You can improve your grades in GPA. If you're an English learner, this can help you reclassify, get those college requirements taken care of, which saves you money, and proudly represent yourself, your family, and community. I got to meet with some parents the other day, and they're going to be talking to you about it too. A letter will be going home about the test. And again, we're here to support you. Thank you for your time. There's a quick question in your Schoology discussion today, so please complete that work now and have a great rest of your week. Talk to you soon.